What can you learn from fear? I want to talk about this lesson on Reinventing You. How's it going, Reinventors? My name is Amelia. This is Reinventing You. I want to know if you are experiencing some kind of fear. All I know is that during this pandemic, it seems like fear is the one thing that continues to creep up on me again and again. My question for myself and for you is, how can we use this fear? How can we overcome this fear? How can this fear help bring about change? Now, I have overcome fear before. In fact, you can see the video both up here and in the description where I talk about overcoming fears in my life. So I know that I can do it. And in order to overcome fear, I've just had to continue to do whatever I need to do to keep moving on and do things despite my fears. But this pandemic is a different sort of animal. In other words, this pandemic is like this constant low hum of anxiety and fear. It's not like I can do one thing and then I'm okay and I'm no longer fear. It's like I do one thing and the fear's still there, and I do another thing and the fear's still there. My reaction is just sort of want to crawl up and into a ball and not do anything. And I think part of the whole thing of this fear, it's not just something I'm facing, it's something everybody else is facing in the country, in the world. A lot of people are not reacting like I am, and that brings a whole nother level of fear because I can't control other people. And then what am I going to do when all these other people are basically acting kind of like fools in a way? I mean, I know we have all disagreed about how to handle the pandemic, but some of the responses and the behavior I've seen recently is like y'all are acting like there's nothing going on, which I think is totally wrong. But anyway, what that does is ratchet up my fear. It makes me more fearful because when I see people doing just really crazy things, then I think, oh my gosh, if they're doing these crazy things, I'm gonna have to double down and really get back into my shell and crawl into the bed and crawl up in a ball. So I tend to hide in my home and not go anywhere. But is that really what I need to be doing? I don't think that's a healthy way to handle fear. I watched a video just the other day about fear and the economy, and they had actually coined a new phrase called pandemic economics. Maybe it's been around, but it's the first I've heard about it. And one of the things they talked about in the video was that how the trickle-down effect of fear has affected our lives, especially through the economy. In other words, we get fearful and we pull our money out of the stock market. We get fearful and we don't go to work, or we lose our job. We get fearful and we stay home and we don't go to the normal places like we used to, like stores and to restaurants, and how those people are affected. So this sort of trickle-down fear economy has really affected everybody. I liked the video because it really explained a lot about fear and how we react. We tend to draw within. We tend to go home and shut the door. We tend to draw into ourselves when we're faced with fear. Now, in the video it talked, in fact I have a link below if you want to check it out, but in pandemic economics, it is true that you have to slow the virus down in order for the economy to recover. And of course, there's lots of theories about what you should and shouldn't do there. I'll let you watch that video if you're wanting to know more. But I think that's what happened, especially in the United States and in some other countries. We did this really well for a while. We sort of hunkered down to try to get beyond this time of the virus really affecting us strongly, especially at first. And of course, that's sort of broken up now. And so it kind of, we're all waiting to see what happens. What's the next thing? In fact, you know, getting out and doing things is one thing, but some of the behavior that I've seen, especially where I live, my own neighborhood, has been kind of disturbing. It's like people went from hunkering down to like, oh, who cares? There's sort of like this level of, you know, let's keep our social distance, let's wear masks, you know, let's be sensible. And it's people like have just said, forget it. And now the reaction of fear is like anything goes. Let's just catch it and get on with life or whatever. But what I've seen is the reason we hunkered down in the first place was to slow the virus down. So I'm sort of like, okay, what's going to happen in 2 weeks kind of mentality. But I say all this in order to explain my own behavior. My fear means I'm afraid to go anywhere. I'm afraid to go to the post office, and I need to. I'm afraid to go to work. Thank goodness my employer, I got a part-time job, but I'm doing things online, which is awesome. But I'm still having to go down to the store when nobody's there. And it was scary yesterday. I had to go down there and accept a package. And it was like, oh my God. What do I do? Thank goodness he was masked, I was masked, but it was still kind of scary. I'm constantly facing fear. It is an ongoing process. The biggest problem I have is that this virus is out of my control. The only thing that I can control is me and my behavior, which brings me back to reinventing. Some things in life are truly out of our control, whether it's a disease like COVID-19 or cancer, whether it's a relationship, maybe our spouse left us or we've left our spouse, maybe it's because we've got laid off on our job. A lot of things in life are out of our control, and all we can control is ourselves. Of course, in reinventing, we can pretty much see a beginning, a middle, and possibly even an end. Personally, I'm having a really hard time seeing that right now in the middle of this pandemic. But sometimes that's also hard to grasp in a reinventing process. That is, seeing the end, because it seems like you're constantly changing and constantly adapting and constantly doing something new. Maybe what you thought you were going to look like in the beginning is changing. That is becoming something else. It's changing organically. It's like not something you really had control over, but when you are thinking, well, I'm going to reinvent myself in this direction, you actually moved in another direction. And this is okay. That's to be expected in the reinventing process. The best thing that you and I can do while we're reinventing ourselves is to keep going. That is, even in the midst of fear, even in the midst of anxiety, even in the midst of uncertainty, we continue on our path. Now, that does mean that sometimes we have to change what we're doing or refocus a little bit, or just, go take a little bit different direction. And that's okay as long as we continue to move. Even in that moving process, even continuing, sometimes that is hard to do. And that is where Reinventing You comes in. I want to inspire you to continue on your reinventing journey. What kind of motivation do you need right now? What sort of direction would be helpful for you to continue in reinventing yourself? Where can I help in inspiring you to keep going despite all that's going on in the world today? Where do you need some poking and prodding? I'm here for you. Whether you are just starting or in the middle of the reinventing process, we all can use some help and inspiration and motivation along the way. I want to know how I can help. I know I can't do anything to change the world or affect society or solve COVID-19, but I can do my part in helping you in this time, whether you're just reacting to what's going on in the world or you're in the process of reinventing, or maybe it's a combination of the two. That is what I can control. So let me know in the comments if there's something special that you need from me, or that some inspiration or some guidance or some suggestions or list or life hacks. I want to know. I want to hear from you. So I can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments below. You can also join our private Facebook group. The link is below in the description. And there you can continue the conversation with me and others, and I can provide further inspiration. In fact, I know if you are on the private Facebook group that you are going to get your own special commencement speech for 2020. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you there. I appreciate your support as I inspire you to live a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose through reinventing. Take care, stay safe, have a great one.